All right, we're going to go over basic CSS in this presentation. So follow along, pause when you need to take notes on Google Keep. I'll attach a short video demo in the classroom or probably in the classroom. Check the classroom. So creating a CSS file. Remember our web file, our basic file is .html. So to do that with a CSS file, we open brackets or caret, we click File, click New, again and again, click File, Save As, navigate to the school folder or your web design folder, and make sure you are inside the same folder as your index.html file, or sorry, that should be your .html file. So index.html file, we need to be in that folder, and within that folder, name your CSS file style.css. So just with like HTML file, we have .html. With the CSS file, we have .css. If we don't have that, it won't work. So CSS syntax. How do you code in CSS? That is what syntax means. It's what it looks like. It's how to type. So my webcam is kind of covering the little extra exclamation, but CSS consists of 4 parts, and you need to know these 4 vocabulary words, because when I explain stuff to you later, I can't say change the declaration and you don't know what it is. So you have the selector, the declaration, the property, and the value. Okay, so let's go back a second. So the selector is what you are selecting to change. That can be a number of things or a number of ways to select, but the selector decides what you're changing. Now the declaration is the entire property and property value. So it's kind of every line inside your CSS. The property is what you're changing, right? So in this case, we're changing the color, and the property value is what you are setting that property to. Okay, so these are words you need to know, because if I say your declaration's wrong, or if I say that's not a valid property value, you have to know what I'm talking about. Especially in the next lesson where we review advanced CSS, you have to know your selectors. You have to know what a selector is. So some basic selectors, you can select by element, modifies all elements stated. So if you select by P, right, all paragraphs. You can select by ID, modifies a specific element with a specific ID, not AD, Mr. You can't spell. So this only really will change one thing on your website because IDs are unique. By class, so it modifies all elements with the selected class. Now this allows you to change a bit more than ID because you can use one class in multiple places. And then that last one says by grouping, but modifies multiple items stated. So if I want to modify all my headers, I would do h1, h2, h3, h4, h5, and h6. And we're going to go over that more in a second, so if you feel like you have to pause and take these notes in Google Keep, I would advise you to do just that. So selecting by element, like I said, you just put the element right on the line, on the first line before you open the curly brackets. So the element selector selects elements based on the element name. So in this case, we're making all paragraphs aligned to the center and coloring them red. Now, one thing to note is capitalization does matter. So I think that T should be lowercase. That is Google Slides making it capitalized automatically. Next one is selecting by ID, right? When we select by ID, we have to put # a hashtag before the ID name. That's how we indicate selecting by ID, that hashtag or #. So the ID of an element should be unique within a page so that the ID selector is used to select that one unique element. So in this case, maybe we have a lot of paragraphs and our first paragraph has the ID para1. We use this CSS to change just that paragraph to be center and red. Next up, we have selecting by class. There you go. To select elements with a specific class, you put a period, so the period character, followed by the name of the class. So the name of the class should have some meaning. You shouldn't just do .class1, .class2. It should indicate what you're changing. maybe you don't want to put red para, maybe you want to put dot important para or important paragraphs, right? So this one would change any element we add. So we can really put this on a header, right? But if you name it paragraphs, you're probably going to apply it to the paragraphs only by doing p class equals red paras. So again, the dot and the hashtag that comes with class and IDs only go in our CSS. In HTML, we're setting stuff using p class equals or p ID equals. Oh no, my phone locked. There we go. So selecting by grouping, you put multiple elements on the first line. You group multiple selectors using a comma. Now it doesn't just have to be element, you could do multiple classes if you so wish to. For the CSS skeleton, it's going to look different from page to page, but these are some things you might always want to have. So you always want to modify the body. It's required for every HTML document, right? Almost every website has some form of links, so you want to make sure you're styling your links correctly. You usually might not want to change it from the default purple or blue unless the colors of your website indicate that you must, right? Like if you have a blue background, you should probably change your A's from a blue. H1 through H6, almost all websites have that, so you're going to want to modify those as well. And P, right? All websites have text on it, so you're going to want to modify the paragraph as well. So what do most websites change about those things? The font family, the font size, the color, the background color, the font weight, the margin, and the padding. So these are things you should always think about doing first when you set up your CSS file. The changes that come to like more specific detail, more specific formatting on your website come later. So it might look something like this, right? Your body, so everything that's in the body. Well, maybe you change the font family, size, weight, color. Maybe you change the color of your links. Maybe you change all the headers to kind of look like a unique font and a unique color. And then maybe you add a margin to the paragraphs to kind of give them some more space so it's easily readable. Questions? You're probably watching this on YouTube, so you can't ask me questions. But you know how to contact me. I suggest going through the demo I might record attached to Google Classroom on CodePen. So do it, check it out, help yourself, help me, because if you don't help yourself, you're going to be asking me questions at 3 a.m. on an email. So have a good one.